Uh, First, we're going to start with a quick statement from AJ, and then we'll go to questions after that.
Yeah, just starting off with spring training, and obviously, went through the intake screening process. We did have one positive that's been confirmed. Tommy Pham tested positive for the coronavirus. Began the self-isolation process, and immediately he's asymptomatic. Been in contact with him every single day. Feels fine, asymptomatic. As a staff, we've been following all of the contact tracing protocols and all the MLB protocols in terms of what you do when you have a player that has a positive corona test. And in terms of return to play, MLB has guidelines in there as well. Some different checks box system that we're in the process of going through, and when Tommy clears those, checks those boxes, then we'll talk about him returning to play here for the Padres. So, just want to start off with that, and then throw it out to any questions.
First question will be from AJ Caswell from MLB.com. Again, please use the chat feature, state your name and your affiliation, and we will get through your questions. Thank you. AJ?
AJ, what can you tell us about the status of pretty much the rest of your roster? I mean, is everyone here and healthy aside from maybe any COVID issues?
Yeah. So basically how it works is every player, when they report to camp, has to take an intake screening and staff member, and there's different tiers that Major League Baseball and the Padres have identified different employees as either tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. The tier 1 and 2 individuals, are part of a frequent screening process. The intake screen, I think we have Tommy is the one positive, and we have one that's pending. That's still going through the process. And Kirby Yates is also is not in camp right now. He's tending to a family issue, not a corona issue. I believe he'll be back in San Diego here I think as soon as Sunday, and should be in camp. He'll start that intake screen that everybody has to go through, and assuming that goes well, be with us at some point, probably middle of next week. From a health standpoint, I think we've for the most part, I think everybody, I'm trying to think back to spring training in terms of some of the injuries, everybody's reporting back in healthy. Some of the smaller injuries, I think Taylor Trammell had an oblique, Trey Wingenter with the shoulder. Those guys are full go, and and ready for the summer camp program.
Marty Caswell, 1360.
Unmute on.
Marty, you have to unmute yourself.
My turn. AJ, earlier today, Mike Trout in his press conference expressed concern about being able to play. Since you've got together with your team today, have you heard any such concerns from the players and the coaches who are assembled here? Could you hear that?
Is the question, Craig, just about concerns the player, hearing from our own players about opting out or anything like that? No, we haven't. We haven't had any players talk about opting out or anything. I think everybody, obviously, I think everybody understands health and safety, and trying to do the best that we can in terms of, creating a good environment for our players when they come in. Baseball has taken a ton of time and effort. Baseball in the union, 108-page protocol. I think the ballpark. I think Mark Guglielmo, Josh Stein, that group has done a great job trying to make this a good environment for people to come in and be a part of. I think our players understand there's risks involved. There's risks involved to everything, but to every individual I have the conversation with, Jace has. I think they're excited about coming back playing baseball. They understand that it's a different environment, and you've got to be very mindful of following new protocols, and trying to do everything you can to, from a, sacrifice to your teammates, putting everybody in the best position possible. But we've not had the talk of people opting out and not playing here this year. Okay.
So with the commissioner saying yesterday that you're going to be lucky to get in 60 games, and the fact that, you've had kind of an explosion of the virus in Florida, Texas, Arizona, California. How concerned are you that you're going to be able to actually get the season in?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I think one thing we've learned here over the last few months is you just take it a day at a time. And I think, I know that's, obviously, you say that, and there's never been a time where it's more apropos than over the last 3 months. And I think, definitely proud of the organization and the group, haven't made any rash decisions. I think we've, sat down together, overall players, staff, front office, and try to make the decisions that are the best possible decisions for the group. I think nothing's going to change really for us in the next month. There's no way of predicting what's going to happen, how the season's going to unfold. I think all we want to do is try to make the best decisions possible. We're going to do that with both from a competitive standpoint and also from a health standpoint. And I think we're all hopeful and optimistic that if we do that, and we're going to look forward and bringing entertainment to the city of San Diego and bring entertainment back to the country, and hopefully we look up and have a great season from an organization standpoint, just throughout the game of baseball. I'm an optimist, so I kind of look at it that way, and excited about getting started and going from here.
Thank you.
Next question is from Jeff Sanders, the Union Tribune.
Hey, AJ, you have a number of prospects that are in this player pool. How are you viewing player development for the guys that aren't on this player pool? And do you have any opinions on guys that might want to play in the Evolver to just get their at-bats, their ratings?
Yeah, I think in terms of the player pool, what we tried to do, we feel like the group that's, we have a group that's here in San Diego that'll be working out mainly at Petco Park. That that group has, those players have a real chance to make our club and make our 30 coming out of the gate. We probably have about 10 prospects or so that, for the most part, are in going to be working out at USD, some Petco time, but that's really a development time. Just with the uncertainty about the minor league season this year and how much development time that they're going to have the ability to get. And then we left open a number of spots, about 10 spots or so that are for some flexibility standpoint that we intend to fill. But just the way the rules are written in terms of baseball, I think, once you put somebody on that 60, the only way to take them off is basically to trade or release them. So I think from that standpoint, we felt like let's get into camp. Let's see how we get through this first wave of testing for coronavirus. Let's see what kind of shape our players come into camp in. And then we'll see what needs that we really have. Some players have been working out at Petco, but other guys at home. So you can do all you want, Zoom calls and phone calls and conversations, but getting them out here on the field, seeing what shape they're in, I think we'll look to add to the group in the next week or so when we get a chance to evaluate up close and personal and go from there. So we had those conversations, tough conversations with a bunch of players. I probably talked to about 20 players that didn't end up making our 60 group. But understand that that's not a final list. This is kind of a work in progress, and we'll see how the next week, 10 days plays out for us.
AJ, do you mind asking that one more time? It was
just the number of guys. How many guys do you actually have here at Petco Park?
Yeah, it's going to vary depending on the day. Yeah, it's going to vary depending on the day. So I think the schedule. I think another thing that we've had to get good at is being flexible, and I think from a scheduling standpoint, the same thing. I think we'll use. Again, we have one field, so we don't want to beat up that field. That's going to be our major league field. We're trying to move a lot of bodies and a lot of people that need to get ready for a season. So there'll be some days where some of the pitchers that don't throw, don't have sides or bullpens or game action, they get their work done at USD in the morning. Other days where maybe a group of position players go over there. Most days, I would think the younger player, the prospect grouping, the group that's there for the development, they'll be at USD most days, and then the players that are kind of competing for the 30 will be, here at Petco. But exact number, I think it'll be somewhere around 20 or so plus players at USD. But there'll be some days where there'll be a little more, a little less, honestly. So it just really depends on that day, what we need to get accomplished and using the two facilities. To the best of our ability. I think in terms of the second question, again, I think we're, we've talked to USD about the ability to stay there. And then we've also talked about to Lake Elsinore. Again, I think we'll play it out here over the course of the next month to see how things go exactly when and where. When we break camp, we'll break camp with 30 players and a three-person taxi squad. And then the other players will be in one of those two facilities, continuing their development for the season.
AJ, you want to take a couple in Spanish? Okay. Tony Alvarez, Cadena Deportes.
Thanks, Greg. Hello, AJ. I'll go in Spanish. preguntarte sobre esta temporada corta, ¿qué evaluación se puede hacer de los peloteros? Porque tienen que responder muy rápido, o se consideraría tal vez un poquito injusto eso, pensando a largo plazo, el evaluar un pelotero en tan corta temporada, de pocos números de juegos.
¿No? La temporada va a estar muy diferente este año porque tú solamente tienes 60 juegos y usualmente la temporada de las grandes ligas es una temporada muy larga y pero ahora los peloteros estamos hablando con los peloteros que necesitan estar listo para jugar, para competir, y tú vas a ver en el campo ahora, en el campo de verano, y no vamos a esperar por 3 semanas para estar listo para jugar un juego intersquad, y vamos a empezar esta noche, y porque cuando tú tienes 3 semanas para estar listo para jugar en la Grande Liga, y es una situación muy diferente, muy diferente para nosotros. Y también con 60 juegos en la temporada, y yo sé que Jays van a hablar sobre eso, pero quizás diferente filosofía cuando tú estás encargado de un juego. So, todo de esas situaciones estamos hablando sobre eso porque es muy diferente, por seguro.